789 State Street in Saginaw, and they are your one-stop shop for all your home decorating needs. Good morning to you. Welcome to our Friday edition of the Art Lewis Show. Later on, after the 10 o'clock news, Linda Shepard's going to join us from Pinnacle Realty to talk about the new real estate rules that you've heard about in the news this week. And then at 11 o'clock, we will learn about Whitetail Properties and what they do. But for this hour, we're going to have some fun this morning. We're going to talk about cars. Not your everyday off-the-lot car, but cars anyway, the kind that are hot. And with me this morning to chat about it is the owner of American Gasser Hot Rod Shop. He is T.J. Coleman. T.J., good morning to you.
Good morning, Art.
Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, I have always wanted to ask this question. What constitutes a hot rod?
Well, I guess a hot rod is anything that would be souped up beyond anything stock. There's a lot of definitions of hot rods, depending who you talk to.
I mean, if I took just a car off the lot, I took out the air cleaner and I put on one of those fancy air cleaners. Is that a hot rod now?
To some people. Not in my book, but I mean, you're getting there. And that's where I start. I mean, that's where most people start, you know, with the little bolt-on stuff, and then it can get carried away from there to superchargers and suspension and brake upgrades and stuff. So I guess there are a lot of different definitions of a hot rod.
And there, you know, and it used to be hot rod was typically, we think of the 31 Ford and stuff like that, you know, and the rat rods and stuff like that.
Yep.
Then there's resto mods.
Yes.
Then there's mods.
Yes.
Then there's restorations.
Yes. Lots of different things you could do with your vehicles, and that's the beauty of the whole thing.
It really is, isn't it? And you never know when somebody walks in the door and says, I got a car I want you to do something with.
Right. You just never know what they're going to ask for. And we've never say no, because there's just so many different things that you can do from, like you said, from a 31, 32 Ford to a PT Cruiser that we'd put a Hemi in. I mean, just crazy stuff, and you just never know what somebody's going to ask for. So, and everything in between, honestly.
Well, listen, folks, if you have any questions about hot rods or you have any stories you want to tell about hot rods and hot cars, this would be the time to give us a call and talk to TJ about it from American Gasser. So the Motor Trend Network on television, along with some other networks that carry car shows, but the Motor Trend Network in particular, has over the years, and it's changed names a number of times, has promoted the hot rod industry.
Absolutely.
And there's got to be dozens of rod shops on there doing their thing.
Yes.
Some of the better known ones, though, Chip Foose was on for a long time with Overhauling.
Yep, for sure.
One of the best designers.
Oh, for sure.
So Dave Kindig has Kindig Designs in Salt Lake City.
Yes.
And I'd asked you in your shop one day who the best on television shop was, and you immediately went to him.
Yes.
What makes him that good?
The design that he does, he's right there with Chip Foose, in my opinion. I mean, the car that he built last year.
Really side by side, aren't they?
I believe so. If he might even be edging Chip out a little bit now, just because his design
and build quality.
The build quality is just second to none. The car that they built last year, the Riddler winner at Autorama, was just a piece of art. And it was just an amazing build, all hand-built, 100% hand-built besides the module underneath of the dash. Every piece of that car was hand-built, which was amazing. The whole floor was grafted out of one piece of aluminum, seamless. The transitions were spot on. The gaps were perfect. I mean, I went back to that car. I was there for 5 days. I went back to that car probably 2 or 3 times a day, just looking at different views of the car, talking to the builders and stuff like that, and just trying to wrap my head around how they did a lot of the things they did on that car, and it was just amazing. So, and nice guys too. I've talked to Dave and K-Dog, and I can't remember his builder's name right now. Will. Yes. Yeah.
Will.
Awesome guy.
Yeah, he's the general manager.
Yeah.
So you watch them. And the thing about it that I learned, you know, you often wonder, you see these shows, you see all these cars they're working on. who's paying for all that? You know, you ask yourself, well, the customer's car, but they must be doing a lot of that for free, and all that stuff. At Kindig, those cars are actually cars in the shop for customers who are paying all the time and materials
For sure, yeah.
for that car. There's
Yep.
nothing free coming out of there.
No. That's how our shop operates too. It's time and materials, and it's
That's typical in the industry, isn't it? If I come in and say, I want you to modify my car, it's time, materials. Do you guarantee me a price, or is it time and materials?
it's just an estimate. We give you a ballpark estimate, and then we do our best what we can to guesstimate how long it'll take and the parts and whatnot. And that's all it is a ballpark estimate.
Somebody walks in today and they've got a car and they want you to modify it. They want a hotter engine, maybe. They want a better suspension, all that stuff. Maybe even a little body work.
Okay.
What's your lead time right now? If I walked in the door and said, hey, I got a car, TJ, what are you going to do it for me?
Well, body work, we're out actually a year and a half, 2 years on body work right now. We have 3 full-time painters back there. Each paint job takes anywhere from 6 to 8 months. So that's
Whoa!
just lots of body work,
Now-
lots of blocking and sanding and getting
I was going to
everything
say,
right.
okay,
Yeah.
when you say 6 to 8 months, it's not just going and spraying it and let it sit.
No.
Hey, most of the work is underneath, isn't it?
Correct, yeah, and that's what a majority of it is. Well, actually, yesterday we just sprayed a 34 Ford that we've been working on since I believe April is when body work began on it. So he finally just sprayed that yesterday after it was a fiberglass car, so we had to do a lot of building up, and fiberglass cars out of the molds are generally pretty rough to begin with. So we built up the body, we got the gaps right, we got the lines right, and it took a long time to get it to where it needed to be.
So, in other words, folks, don't expect a Christmas present.
No, we get people coming in, I don't know about daily, but every other day that, hey, I would like this done. Or, for example, somebody came in this week with a Corvette and they hit a pole and hit the bumper. And they said, well, how long till you can get to it? I'm like, well, is this something you want this year? And they kind of both stopped and looked at me. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but that's not going to happen here just because we're so busy. So unfortunately, there's a lot of people that we have to, if they can wait, awesome. But if it's something that can be done within a week or something like that somewhere else, they're going to go there, of course.
Yeah. So you're typically, though, in your shop, how many cars will you work on at a time?
I would say there's probably about 15 to 20 going at a time. Yeah.
So you just go from one to the other. You do some work on
Yeah,
this one.
it depends on the stages. Like I said, paint and body's backed out a couple of years right now. There's a lot of there's probably 3 or 4 waiting in the back right now that are done with metal fabrication and are waiting for the body shop. So those are on deck for that. But there's a bunch of different stages, and we can see where we can work it into the schedule and get some of these cars out of there from the start to finish jobs.
And we should point out, your reputation is spread, so you're not just getting cars from Saginaw.
No, well, the one I mentioned, that 34 that we just painted yesterday, that's from Long Island, New York. That's a repeat customer. We have a steel body 40 Willys that we're working on now. That's for a customer in Maine, and we have cars all over the country. Most of it's Michigan, of course, 90-something%, but we definitely get cars from all over the country too.
Yeah, and I was surprised how big the shop was. I mean, you
Yeah.
see the storefront, but
Yeah.
that's nothing.
A lot of people don't realize how deep the shop is, and I've mentioned it before. Like, you start walking, and I need a curse jar at a certain point because everybody's like, "Holy crap! I didn't know how big this shop is," because it just keeps going and going. You got
And then you have the outbuildings besides.
then you have the outbuildings, and it's just a large property with cars everywhere, which is pretty cool. But yeah, lots to keep track of.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're talking to TJ Coleman from American Gasser Hot Rod Shop, and we will be back. If you have any questions about hot rods, cars, the like, give us a call. If you got a story about a rod you had, 989-752-6111.
Jim Wilson, it looks like the
Back with you, talking to TJ Coleman from American Gasser Hot Rod Shop down on Gratiot in Saginaw. 12-year-old. How old's the shop?
Let's see.
You were there 12
Yeah,
years.
so 12. It's been 16 years altogether.
16 years.
Yes.
So there's a lot of talk about EVs and electric vehicles in the world. Are you prepared to do EV swaps on gas engines? Would you?
No. Would I? Sure. But that's not really our thing, honestly. I don't think we're ever going to be doing that as far as like in my lifetime, as far as doing EV swaps and whatnot.
They are available, though, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely.
There are
Yeah.
kits out there and stuff.
Yeah. I've seen them in a few hot rods here and there. But possibly. I'd be open to it in the future, but I don't see it happening anytime
curve, though,
soon.
isn't it? I mean,
it's absolutely, it's a big learning curve.
And I've said many times to folks, I'm not interested in EVs. I might be more interested in a hybrid.
Yeah,
I can live with a hybrid.
same.
EV around town, no gas, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if my EV goes bad, I got that engine. That's what I count
Yeah,
on.
exactly. No, I totally agree with that.
So I'm a petrol head anyway. I mean, I just
Same here. That's why I hesitated. I'm like,
Let's talk to Mike in Thomas Township. Mike, good morning. You're on with TJ.
Morning. Good morning, gentlemen. Yeah, I have a hybrid also, and I'm looking to get a Prius hybrid this fall. I had one before, but I've got a Corolla right now. Runs great. Love it. But I'd probably I've got a running chassis for a little car that I had bought back in 1959. It was a 58 Mako, 2-cylinder, 2-cycle, 4-speed in the rear, water-cooled engine, and it ran, but it needs work, and I'm just too old to do it. I always thought it'd be a nice project for myself and the kids, but they weren't interested in cars. I'm a car nut, they're not. So I'd like to donate that to somebody or someplace to give it a good home. And I don't know, do schools have these automotive programs anymore in Saginaw?
And you can help me on this, TJ. I'm guessing that the Saginaw Career Complex has, and Saginaw Valley State University has an auto engineering program. They even have a race team.
yeah, correct. And I think Delta does as well.
Delta might also.
Yeah, but the COC is the only one like high school based of that I can think of. I know Hemlock used to, but I don't think they do anymore. But it's been a while since I've talked about that.
Well, I have to get on the horn and start calling some places because I would like to go to a good home. I used to build cars with Martin Tanner in Saginaw.
Oh, wow.
We raced Saab-powered Class H modified. We actually won the United States Championship with that car, or one of the cars, because he built quite a few of them.
Very cool.
And so this car is 2/3 of a Saab. I have everything done to the engine that we did to the racing engine of the Saab. So it's a pretty good running car. And matter of fact, when we built the 750, Saab Motor Company sent over one of their racing engines and traded for ours. And we ran it for a whole season.
Let me ask.
The Saab. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you, Mike. Is this a car that Tanner worked on?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
No,
All
this
right.
is strictly mine.
All right.
No.
The reason I asked is the museum might have been a place to think about it.
Well, it's just a running chassis. It's a backbone chassis. It's everything's there. Run. I mean, I just hauled it out of my shed the other day to clean the shed, but I'd like it to go someplace. I'm 84 years old, so I'm too old to play with it much anymore.
COC would be the place to go.
Okay, that sounds great because
right.
it was fun. Okay,
enough.
take care, my friend.
Take care.
Bye now.
Bye now.
Bye.
A lot of those projects hidden away in sheds and garages.
Oh, absolutely.
And barn finds, they call them, right?
They're still out there.
Yeah, they're still out there. Every
They
now
sure
and then
are.
you see them.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of have you ever seen Chasing Classic Cars? Wayne Carini.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's
They did
amazing
that
what
for
they
years. Oh.
discover.
Yeah, there's some
It's like,
high-end
how is this
stuff.
still
I mean,
sitting
that's
out there undiscovered?
expensive stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, but we go back to electrics for a minute because, with this big push going on with EVs, you wonder, and the American public is not enamored yet. The rest of the world seems to be more enamored than we are with them.
Agreed. Yep.
But you wonder, we grew up car nuts. When I was growing up in the days when unveiling a new car was a big deal,
Oh, sure.
you know, I could spot a taillight going down the road and tell you the year and model and make and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we all got involved, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But you can't do that anymore today. I mean, they're cookie cutters.
They are cookie cutters for sure. Yeah, you don't have that that look, that feel, personality. I mean, I know we're talking about cars, but they just don't have that.
Yeah, but they had personalities.
They did.
They
Yeah.
were. Yeah,
Not now.
absolutely. Not now. Not as much.
Not as much, exactly.
So if I said to you, TJ, okay, you could have one car only.
Ooh.
You can do what you want to it, but you can only have one. You're going to steal Art Noe's
One?
yellow monster?
Yeah, the 65 Biscayne is pretty darn awesome. 1,000 horsepower, nothing's wrong with that. God, there's too many, Art. Deep down, I'm a truck guy. I like
he drives a 12-year-old Raptor, folks, which he's had his hands in.
Can't leave anything alone, but yeah, I like the mid 50s, probably 55, 56 Apaches. I really like those trucks. Problem is, I'm 6'6", and they're not built for people my size. But man, I sure love.
Chop the top. You'd have to raise the top.
I would have to maybe raise it and then elongate the cab there a little
lower
bit.
the seat, one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. But for some reason, I've had a soft spot in my heart for those. There's a lot. There's just too many to name, and that's what's so cool about going to all these car shows that I get to go to, is all these cars that you see and dream and had as a model, as a car or anything like that. And then we get to work on them, and then we get to test drive them, and we get to, work with the customers and whatnot. It's just a really cool thing that we get to do there.
And the car shows have grown around here. I mean, they're everywhere
They're
now.
everywhere. Yeah, they are.
You had one at your place, too.
Yeah, we do one. We used to do 2 a year. We just do one a year now in July. We had 124 registered there, so it's one of our bigger shows. We're kind of limited with the property that we have there, but between the cars and the food trucks and the spectators and whatnot, it was full. So we had a great time there, perfect weather and whatnot. But yeah, the car shows, like we saw at Tri-City Dragway a couple weeks ago, there's cars everywhere.
There were the guy with the counter said there were 524 is what he got, but he knew he missed a bunch.
So there was 495 registered.
Registered, and then you had drive-ups.
And we figured probably, I don't know about but I'm on the board for helping the Tri-City Dragway, but there was between 530 and 570 altogether is their best guesstimate. So it was just an awesome time.
And that's without spectators. That's just
without
cars.
spectators, just cars. Yeah. Pretty awesome.
Pretty, to say the least.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd never been to a show quite like that before. It was amazing.
It's got a whole different feel to it.
All right, we'll take a break, come back. If you have any questions about hot rods and automobiles, here's the guy to talk to. TJ Coleman owns American Gasser Hot Rod Shop on Gratiot in Saginaw.
Hey everyone, Cody from...
Microphone. Give me that. All right. Having a little bit of an issue in here. Can't turn my microphone on. Oh, there it goes. All right. Now I got it. Button didn't work. All right, microphone, there you are. Okay. Gee, just like a car, things don't work all the time.
Sometimes, yeah.
With me in studio, TJ Coleman. TJ owns American Gasser, full-service hot rod shop on Gratiot in Saginaw, 8175 Gratiot. So, during the pandemic and in talking to, when I went to SEMA last year, the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association show in Las Vegas, talking to some of the rod builders, the biggest complaint particularly during the pandemic, was supply chain.
Oh, absolutely.
You couldn't get parts.
Yeah.
Has that righted itself now?
It really has. Yeah, it was tough going, especially through the pandemic, and probably for the first year and a half after that. It was really hard getting certain things. And it still can be, but it has definitely gotten, I'd say, 99% better.
Out of the stuff you use, if somebody comes in and they want chassis modifications and all of that, what percentage, as a guess, would you say are American-made parts in this day and age?
The stuff that we use, I would say probably, we try to get American-made as much as possible. So I would say probably between 80 and 90% of the stuff that we use.
That's pretty high then.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it was interesting going to the SEMA and APEX show in Vegas. I went to the one show. The APEX show is for auto repair shops and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's huge. It's in that particular show was in the Venetian Hotel Expo Center.
Okay.
And now this year it's so big it's in the Venetian and Caesars.
Wow.
But you walked into the floor, and the first 5 or 6 rows were all Chinese. The next 5 or 6 rows were all Korean.
Mm-hmm.
The next 5 or 6 rows were all Japanese. You're looking for American parts.
I know. I feel the pain. I really do.
It really was. It was an eye opener, you know.
Yeah.
But when you went to the SEMA side of the show at the convention center and you looked at the parts available for rods and modification and stuff, a lot more American manufacturers. But a lot of them are mom and pop. They make a particular product.
Right, yeah. And we see that a lot. We go to, every year we go to the PRI show, Performance Racing Industry Show down in Indy. It's like a mini SEMA. And that's the same thing. I don't know how many vendors there are, a couple thousand. And it's hard to find anything made in America, but there are lots of mom and pop shops we've never even heard of before that are making stuff made here in America. So, I mean, we stick with our name brands, you know, QA1 and Willwood and Heights and stuff like that, where we know that it's tried and true.
So if somebody comes in and wants a new brake system, you're going to give them Willwood.
Most likely it's going to be Willwood, yeah. Sometimes we'll do Bear, and it's just still made in America, but I mean, those you just don't screw around with brakes and suspension and cooling and stuff like that. All of our cooling stuff, we recommend Be Cool up in Essexville.
They're a radiator company, right? They make custom radiators.
Yep, they
do.
They still do. That's pretty much all we use exclusively. I mean, it's just a great product that we know it's not going to leave somebody stranded. We're not guinea pigging on anybody. And we know once it leaves the door that they're going to be pretty much set for life at that point with what we put on their cars.
When you do a modification to a car, I mean, you know, there are laws and rules and safety standards and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
If you modify, we'll take our buddy Art's car, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's a
Which one?
Which one? All right, let's use the 65 Biscayne because
Okay.
that's a done car.
Yes.
At least right now. With its 1,000 horsepower.
Right.
Back in the day, it wasn't required to have seat belts. It wasn't required to have catalytic converters. It wasn't. When you bring that car and you rebuild that car for today's highways, do you then have to do modern standards in that car, or can you build it to what it was in 65?
You can build it to what it was in 65, but if you like do a LS swap or Hemi swap or Coyote swap or something like that, then most likely you're going to put it to today's standards with CATs. And of course, it's got all the electronics. So you delete CATs at that point or try to do anything, then it just throws the whole system off, the computer system. And yeah, you can have it tuned out and all that kinds of stuff. But for the most part, we just leave it as is, as it would be like a Coyote, like in a 2015 Mustang or, you know, something like that, that it is just going to be the complete package that it would be today. So you don't have to worry about deleting CATs or doing any kind of stuff.
But legally,
like that.
you could build the car to the 65 standards.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, and not have to worry about those things.
Right, yep.
So when you put a car in today that's, you know, and every car today is a computer on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Are you turning out those kinds of cars?
Yeah, we do.
You have to, don't you? I mean,
I have to, yeah.
If you're going to put a big engine in today, it's going to have computers, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like the Biscayne that you mentioned earlier, that's a crate engine. That's all computerized anymore. You know, Holley Terminator system on there. That's all controlled computers. We do a lot of LS swap around the shop. Some Coyote, some Hemi stuff. But yeah, it's all computerized.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember having my 64 Corvette And if I wanted to adjust the tappets just for fun, I'd pull off the head valve cover and adjust away, Mm-hmm. Can't do that anymore, can you?
You cannot do that anymore. I mean, you can't hardly. It's hard to change your oil on some of these new cars anymore. Just find out where you put washer fluid on a lot of these things. I mean, they're so, and they made it that way. So they don't want people messing around with them.
It's kind of funny in a way, though. We talked about this off the air just a little bit, but we put these big engines in cars now. 700-800 horsepower, or even Art's 1,000 horsepower monster.
Mm-hmm.
The Italians and other sports car manufacturers have been putting in power like that for years.
Sure, yeah.
Years, using 12-cylinder engines, but they're small cylinders. They're not huge cylinders.
Right, yeah.
Boy, and they can crank out the RPMs.
Oh, they wind them right up.
8,000, 9,000 RPM.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, whole different animal over there for sure. Yeah, we get the 1,000 horsepower engines here, and we're like $4 or $5 grand, and that's topped out, So, that's they're pretty impressive.
So, are you more impressed with horsepower or torque?
I like them both. Torque probably.
That's what gives you the giddy up and go.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what gets you going.
You're feeling both, but I like the torque.
Kind of figured.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll take a break and we'll be back with TJ Coleman, owner of American Gasser Hot Rod Shop. Let me take a moment to tell you about another car place, and that's Quick Lane Freeland, right next to my car dealer, McDonald Ford. Quick Lane Freeland is a one-stop shop for all of your routine automotive maintenance. Oil changes, brakes, tires, the like. Stop in there, and they have a product they want to tell you about. It's called FrigiFresh. FrigiFresh is a hospital-grade disinfectant. They place it in your air conditioning system. It kills germs, pollen, mold, odors, mildew, all of that. Keeps you healthy in your car's cabin. And don't forget, in the newer cars today, there's also a cabin filter, and you should have that checked once in a while, too. The FrigiFresh is only $20, takes 10 minutes, and you don't need an appointment. Just stop in and say you'd like FrigiFresh, and they'll take care of it for you. Quick Lane Freeland next to McDonald Ford, your one-stop shop for all makes and models for all of your routine service and maintenance. They keep your car or truck in tip-top shape. Quick Lane Freeland next to McDonald Ford.
Quick question. Are you
TJ Coleman, the owner of American Gasser Hot Rod Shop on Gratiot and Saginaw, with us this morning talking cars, and Kim is in Bay City. Kim, you're on with TJ. Good morning.
Good morning, Art and TJ. Great show today.
Thanks.
Yay.
Thank you.
Hey, I have been, it's the baggage I came with, my husband says. I've been dragging a 1947 Ford short-door coupe around since I was 14 years old. My husband actually built a loft around it in our shed, hoping I would forget that it's even here. But it needs a new frame, like they messed it up, whoever had it before. They welded to try to make, they put a Chevy rear end on it. But would you have a recommendation for, like, it needs a whole new frame. It's got like a 114-centimeter wheelbase.
Mm-hmm.
But would you have a recommendation of where to even start?
When we usually get frames, we usually deal with Roadster Shop or Art Morrison. But as far as like buying like a good solid frame that are non-existent from that year here in Michigan, we usually deal with like Desert Valley Auto out in, I believe they're in Arizona, and you can usually get a pretty darn solid frame from there. And what we do, actually, we just got one for a 78 C10 last week, and we had it media blasted, and just, I mean, you're going to have a little pitting and whatnot, but as far as like anything rotted through, like we see here all the time here in Michigan, they just don't have those issues out there. So I would probably
So you buy the frame from a dry climate.
From a dry climate, yeah. So it's a Desert Valley Auto Parts is. I'd probably recommend that. Otherwise, like for Art Morrison or Roadster Shop, you're going to be spending $20,000 on up just for a frame. So yeah, probably don't want to go that route with the whole thing. So,
yeah, I hope my husband's not listening. That's why
there are options, though. There are options.
We were thinking more of buying something similar size-wise that would be a newer vehicle, like around here, that something was trashed and start, because
Then you get into
car
modifications and everything, don't you?
Yeah, you certainly can. Yeah, I mean, if you want to give me a call at the shop next week, I can definitely get my feelers out and see if there's anything that would possibly work underneath of there. I'd be happy to help you out with that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
All
Thank you.
American Gas or
Have
Hot
a great
Rod
day.
Shop.
Thanks, you
All
too.
right, Kim,
Yep.
thanks.
Bay Road. Thank you.
You
Bye-bye.
bet. No, Gratiot. Gratiot in Shields. Just have a few seconds left here, but it's not unusual. People have things stashed away.
No, for sure. It's
Keeps you going.
It does keep us going. One of my hobbies that I do every once in a while, and when I have free time, which is not often, my wife and I do a lot of garage selling and stuff. And of course, you get back in these barns and you do stuff like that. And it's amazing what you see just sitting back there, and we're going to do something with it eventually. Or
I have a cousin in Kansas City, and they do picking.
Oh.
They travel around. Kansas City Pickers is their thing.
Okay.
And it's like a TV show, and they
Sure.
get into these wonderful places. TJ, been a pleasure. Thanks for being with us today.
Same
We'll
here.
have to do it
Thank you
again.
very
It's
much
fun
for having
talking
me.
about this stuff.
It is, yeah.
TJ Coleman, American Gas or Hot Rod Shop on Gratiot in Shields. We'll be back to close out. Tell you what's ahead.
Is your foundation showing signs?
All right, my thanks to TJ Coleman for being with us today, talking about cars. Coming up next, we're going to talk about real estate and the new rules for realtors. All that ahead with Linda Shepard from Pinnacle Realty.
Broadcasting from the storm.
And in other states, he was taking from Harris. But if you look at a polling memo this morning from the Harris campaign, they lay out that Kennedy's supporters would go to both Harris and Trump equally.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell has just begun speaking to central bankers and economists in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. He's expected to show his hand on interest rates. CBS's Jolene Kent.
We're going to be looking for more direction on how much Powell may actually cut rates when it comes to whether it's a quarter point or whether it's half a point.
He has just said the time has come to cut them. Judge in Massachusetts has just declined to dismiss 2 charges, 1 murder, against Karen Reed. She's accused of ramming her SUV into her Boston police officer boyfriend and leaving him for dead. Her first trial ended in a mistrial in July when jurors deadlocked. New one set for late January. The high for today in San Antonio, Texas is 102. And that's a little bit of a relief, if you can call it that, after the temperature there hit 108 this week. Odyssey meteorologist Craig Allen.
The afternoon will easily climb into the 90s and over 100 degrees again for many portions of the state. A heat advisory does cover most of the northern and central portions of Texas. It goes on up into Oklahoma.
The hottest spot in Texas this week has been Abilene. It got up to 113 there Wednesday. 6 giant supermarkets in Washington, D.C. are banning unaccompanied kids under 18 from entering stores in hopes of cutting down on the rising number of thefts. Shoppers are weighing in.
I think it's a good thing because you can deter theft.
I just think it's ridiculous, and it's like discrimination to the kids for it. They should be allowed to do whatever they need to do or whatever they want to do.
Dow up 180. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
From Cars and Trucks.
Live from the 100.5 and 790 newsroom. This is WSGW News.
Partly cloudy skies and 69 degrees at 10:05. Good morning, I'm Mike Percha. Police have identified a teen shot and killed in Saginaw this morning. Police were called to the 1900 block of Hancock Street shortly before 1 o'clock, where they found 15-year-old Khalil Harris of Saginaw lying in the street, suffering from at least 1 gunshot wound. Harris was unresponsive, according to police. He was taken to a local hospital where he died from his injuries. Police are asking anyone with information to call Detective Anthony Accardo at 989-759-1419 or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-422-JAIL. SVSU has launched a new graduate certificate program in strategic organizational communications starting this semester. Here is Christiana Malacara.
Designed for the working professional, the certificate aims to enhance the skills in navigating organizational challenges and leverage new media for leadership and promotion. The program consists of 4 courses over 2 semesters, offering a blend of in-person and online learning, with classes scheduled Wednesday nights from 7 to 10 p.m. Applications for the first cohort are still being accepted and are starting to fill up for the winter semester. More information, including admission requirements, can be found at svsu.edu/strategic organizational communication certificate. This is Christiana Malagata, News Radio 100.5 and 790.
Following the announcement earlier this week of a longtime Bay City staple shutting its doors for good, a second restaurant has announced they too will close down. Berger's Family Restaurant, open for 96 years, is closing at the end of the month. And now, Costella Brazilian Steakhouse in Bay City's Uptown announced on Facebook it's closing also, with this weekend being its last in business. It opened in 2018. The restaurant is inviting the public to come out today and tomorrow to celebrate. WSGW News Time, 10:07. GW News Time, 10:08. The weather forecast is coming up. Authorities in Oakland County say several people have come forward believing to be victims of a Rochester Hills doctor who was charged with multiple sex crimes involving children and adults. The Oakland County Sheriff's Department says since Wednesday they've received 125 tips. Umair Ajaz has been accused of hiding cameras in bathrooms, bedrooms, hospital rooms, and in an area of a swim club to record victims. In addition, he also allegedly recorded sexual encounters with women, patients who were asleep or unconscious. Investigators have sifted through thousands of images. The department is still asking anyone who may have had an appointment with Ajaz to come forward. Governor Gretchen Whitmer says a thorough review of the Oxford High School shooting is needed. Here's Michigan News Network's Jackie Page.
Governor Whitmer told the Detroit News it would make sense to have a thorough review of police and emergency response to the shooting. She's unclear which agency has the ability to do so. Attorney General Dana Nessel says her department can't conduct a review without approval from the school board, which has rejected that twice. Steve St. Juliana, who also told the Detroit News that he wants a comprehensive review of everything that led up to the shooting, from social media posts to how Michigan State Police handled the incoming tips. His daughter Hannah was killed in that shooting. I'm Jackie Page for the Michigan News Network.
A nationwide education tour is coming to the state. U.S. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona will launch the 2024 Back to School Bus Tour from September 3rd through the 6th. The week-long multi-state road trip will focus on accelerating student achievement and raising the bar in public education with federal investments. The back-to-school bus tour will feature stops in Michigan on the 5th. Public service loan forgiveness, teacher support, and mental health will be discussed at forums in Detroit, Lansing, and Grand Rapids. WSGW News Time, 10:10. I'm Mike Percha.
At Westside Decorating Center. Stop in, visit them today. This hour, we're going to talk about real estate, buying, selling, new rules, all of that, with a very special guest in studio with me this morning, the broker from Pinnacle Realty, its owner, and she also owns The Point and Sips and Miles Market and Sanford, and it goes on and on. And she is Linda Shepard. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so apparently it must be big news because it's been all over the news. Even despite the fact that the Democrats are having a convention, other stories managed to get through about the new rules about realtors and commissions and all of that stuff. Does the homeowner who wants to buy or sell have to worry about any of it? Let's start with that.
Not really. I mean, a lot hasn't changed, but yes, it did change. It did change the whole industry, but for buyers and sellers, not as much as you would think. It's more for how we're doing business and how buyers agents are doing business, how sellers are looking at commissions. So yes and no.
Well, if I hire somebody, whether it's buying or selling, I'm hiring a real estate agent.
Yes.
Should I not be expected to pay for it?
Why wouldn't you pay for it? I don't understand that. You don't go to court and represent yourself. You don't go and get your teeth cleaned without a professional. It just doesn't make sense. we are licensees of the state of Michigan. This is what we do every day. You need somebody negotiating for you all those pitfalls. Our job's to keep you out of court and to live your best life in your best home. It just doesn't make sense to me. And most people want a real estate agent. They don't want to show their houses. They want to understand how to put their best foot forward, how to make sure everything's perfect for selling. And buyers need you to walk through the house, look at things.
In reality, not only don't I want to sell my house, you don't want me in my house when you're selling it.
No, I don't want you there. I don't want you there talking to people walking through.
Why not?
Oh, you might say something odd. So, that's been a rule. And it has happened where I've showed houses and, older folks may not want to leave or some people can't leave.
Yeah.
They're there. And it usually turns out just fine. But yes, it's much easier to show a house when nobody is there because then you feel free to speak freely about the smell or the condition of the house or, you don't want. There briefly was a TV show, I don't know if you remember it, where they had the sellers in another room and they were literally watching the buyers walk through. Well, it didn't last long because, you're going to say things. It's an odd thing. So, yeah, that show didn't last long.
Yeah. So let's talk about these changes so everybody understands what they are. How did the commission structure change?
Well, forever it has been a broker offers out. So a selling broker's office and a selling broker offers the commission. So we are going to get, and let's just throw a number out there, 6%. We're going to get 6%, and you are going to pay my brokerage for me to list your home, help you get it cleaned up, help you do everything to get it there.
I'm going to pay you upon sale.
Upon sale. So I'm working for you for free. I'm helping you trim your hedges. I'm helping you figure out where to place furniture. I'm there moving your items for when I'm taking the pictures and I'm putting it out on the multi-listing service. I'm making sure that it gets out on Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, all those areas. And I am selling this beautiful asset that you own.
So for every $100,000 in your example, I owe you $6,000. So
6%.
If I sell a $200,000 home, you get $12,000.
Exactly. And then I am splitting that as the broker with a buyer's agent who is buying a good buyer, represented, pre-approved, ready to go. On their side, they're making sure their title company's doing their work, their loan officers, everything's getting done on their end. So my offer to them is that 3%.
So as a buyer, do I need a buyer's agent? Can I come to you as the seller and say I want to buy that home?
Yeah, you can do it every day. But then you're underrepresentative and you're going to have lots of problems. I mean, you're not going to understand. The loan officer is going to ask you a ton of things. How are you going to get into that home? Sellers do not want buyers walking that house unrepresented and without insurance. I mean, I carry quite a bit of liability insurance. Somebody falls off a porch.
Sure.
We had that happen to an agent a couple of years back where he fell off a porch and broke his back. So we have insurances in place. We have our code of ethics in place. We have our E&O insurance in place. Just like every other profession.
Okay, so under the old rules,
Yep.
you list the house, you get 6%.
Yep.
I get a buyer's agent to represent me.
Yes.
Who paid the agent under the old rules?
The sellers.
Seller.
It depends on the way you look at it. So the seller's paying it, but the buyer's the one bringing the money. So who is paying it? It's coming out of the seller's
But it's coming out of
profits.
that 6%.
It's coming out of that 6%. Yes.
Under the new rules, what happens?
It's still going to be like that, but see, I went a blank. So much is coming to my brain to have to talk about. So now, what we did as sellers, too, is we advertised it out on the MLS system, and we would put right in there, we're offering 3%, 2.5%, depending on what we have negotiated with our sellers. That is what we're offering out. Now, buyer's agents have to have you sign a document, a buyer's agency agreement, before you can even walk in the house. So not one agent So get prepared, people, that if you're calling your agent, you're now on the back of their car or in dotloop, you're signing your buyer's agency agreement right with them. So because we have to know at some point we're going to get paid for what we're doing.
And who is going to pay the buyer's agent? Is
And
the buyer now going to do it, or is it still coming out of that 6%?
And sometimes the buyers will, but I don't think you're going to see that as much. So now what is happening is, okay, I've signed this with you. We have either a agreement for just this house that I'm showing you, or a 6-month, 3-month contract of every house that I show you. This is what we're doing. Now, Mr. Buyer wants to buy this house. Oh my gosh, I'm in love. What I'm finding just this week, because this literally just went in, is every agent is calling the other agents or texting. So I have quite a few listings right now. The minute that somebody puts in a showing, I get a little text. Hey, are you offering a BAC, a buyer's agency commission? And we are just going back, yes. We're not putting numbers in. We're not doing any of that. But they know that I have talked to my sellers. We are going to offer something. So now in that purchase agreement, the buyer's agent is now got a clause for himself or herself of, okay, here's our offer, here's our timeline, here's what we're going to do for occupancy, here's what we're going to do for inspection, and my buyer's agent would like 2.5, 3%, whatever. It's always been negotiable. That's why this lawsuit, to me, as a National Association of Realtors, I'm supposed to say, I understand the whole thing. No, I don't understand the whole thing. I think that there were some bad players in other states doing things wrong. And that's why now as a nation, we have to all pay this price.
All right. Talking to Linda Shepard from Pinnacle Realty, we have one question from a caller. Any realtors take listings on furnished homes?
Yes, yeah. We do that a lot, especially with lake houses and things like that. So your mom's passed, your dad's passed or something, and you really don't have time to have an estate sale. You don't want to do it. They have beautiful items. It's so furnished. It's been decorated beautifully. Yeah, you can sell it totally furnished. And you will have buyers that are so happy that they don't have to go shopping. Yeah, especially if it's absolutely, I mean, I go into some homes. It is just so incredibly beautiful.
All right, we're going to take a break. If you have any questions on real estate, buying, selling, what have you, give us a call and chat with Linda. We will be back after these notes.
Hey, everyone. Cody.
You're talking to Linda Shepard, owner of Pinnacle Realty and The Point on M46 at M47. So let's talk about getting a house ready for sale. I would not, if I were selling my home, I would not want anyone to walk through it right now. It's a disaster, because stuff here and stuff there, and
oh yes,
basement's a mess. I got a lot of work to do.
Yes, decluttering is the number one. You're living in your home. That's where you're dropping everything. This is you don't realize it, and I do think that people also have to look at their home as an asset and not their home anymore. That makes it easier to declutter. Yes, I love my mother's vase right there. Okay, you don't want somebody touching that vase. Get it off the counter. Take down the family pictures. If somebody walks into your house and you have 1,700 pictures of your whole entire family, they're walking up there looking at everyone to see if they know anybody. It's just natural. So you have to take your personal things down, put your jewelry away, set it up to sell it.
So, my question is strange, but do I have, when you say set it up to sell it, do I have to make my home ready for Better Homes and Garden magazine?
No, that's a little impossible. That's too hard. But we will walk through with you, and we need to trim these bushes in the front. You want that first impression to just be a wow. Then you walk into your front. You can't have 16 coats, all your shoes scattered there. Let's put these away. Let's move. So not Better Homes and Gardens, but
doesn't it have to look lived in?
No,
I know occasionally you sell vacant properties. I know that, but to me anyway, if I'm a buyer and I'm walking in a home, not only do I want to see the home and if it's laid out the way I want it and all of that stuff, but I want to know that somebody was comfortable enough to live in it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, but you don't want it too lived in. If that is your sofa from 1965 and it's indented like the Simpsons couch, we got to get it out of there, or put a nice throw across it. You can easily make it, but that's my job, is to walk in and say, okay, you have so much dust on your fake flowers, things like that, or you thought it was okay in 1975 to put all these greens across the top of your cabinets on the top, but now there's an inch of dust. We've got to get that down. You need to make it almost look sparse, because if people can't see themselves living there, it defeats the purpose.
So let me ask another question then. Let's say you get an old goat like me at 81 who's not interested in doing all that stuff. Are there companies that will stage a home for sale?
Yeah, you can hire cleaners. We've got cleaners that come in and they'll clean it up. And I have movers that I use. I'd love to say their name. They're young, but they're awesome. They'll come in, they'll get stuff out. They'll put stuff out to the trash, or, yeah, we've got people to do things.
So that's part of the service.
It is. Oh, totally. I mean, that is my first. I did a walkthrough yesterday in a beautiful little 2-bedroom in Bay City. It is so cute. Really, I had nothing to tell them. But last week I went into a, how to say this delicately, a bachelor pad. And, to him, this was very nice, very clean. I cleaned the bathroom. Okay, that's great. But you have 17 T-shirts sitting on the counter that you meant to take to your bedroom, but they've been sitting there. That is our job, to come in and get it picture perfect for sale. Because people, if you're too much in your house, people can't see themselves.
And this is another reason why you don't want the buyer there.
You don't want the buyer there, yeah. Or the seller. You don't want the seller there.
I meant the seller, I'm sorry.
Because sellers, if you've been in that house for a time, you have stories, and you're going to end up telling that how little Sally took her first steps over here. Buyers don't want that. They want to live their new life there. This is where they're going to bring home their baby from the hospital, and all these. I could go on because I get all emotional about it, because your house is where you live your life.
So what can I expect to get from my house in this day and age? More than it's worth?
Top dollar. No, you're going to get it what it's worth. I mean, we're not seeing that craziness that we saw last summer. Interest rates, just one of the credit unions locally, we are seeing 5s on a 30-year. So rates are coming down. So I am super excited about this, because for buyers, there's just not been enough inventory, because sellers don't want to sell because they're sitting on a 2, 3, 4%.
Right.
Rates are coming down. Sellers are going to start selling. I think that we're going to start in the new year seeing a balance. And, breath of fresh air. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interest rates have played a part.
Oh, a total part, because who's sitting at a 4% and they're going to go now get a 7.5? You're going to stay in your house. You're not going to double your it's just not that, and that's been the problem for the last 3 years.
And on top of that, yeah, you may get money over your asking price, but you're going to have to turn right around and spend that money over asking to get the next place.
That's exactly. Oh, right there. See? In 30 seconds, we figured out the whole problem.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more to it, but that's it. And I understand that sellers don't want to sell, but I think that sellers are going to start feeling better, because now they're getting pre-approved, going, I'm at 5.6. Great, I can go out. Let's start moving.
Because even if you move to the same value home, you're paying less than your mortgage.
Exactly. Yep. So it's exciting.
How is money today? I mean, we went through this phase where the subprimes were out of sight, caused all kinds of financial problems in the country. Are they gone now?
I think so. I think we're easing into this lower interest. Feds, we got an election coming. I don't know. Have you heard about this election coming up? I don't know.
Is there an election?
Oh, yeah. Real estate agents hate this time.
That's going to cost us, yeah.
We hate this time, because all these signs that go up in the yard mess with our for sale signs. We do get irritated, I will tell you. So please put your real estate sign in front. Put all your political beliefs behind it. Please.
Well, I would say, this is just me not having any expertise in this area, I'd say keep your political beliefs to yourself when you're selling your home, because it may be that the sign you have out front is enough to keep somebody from going in.
In this political
Climate,
spectrum,
yep.
Yes, sir. This is why I don't have political signs in front of my building. You just can't.
Yeah, because for everyone you turn on, you're turning off somebody.
Yeah. And you know what? I am a huge believer. I don't think families should fall apart because somebody believes this, the other side's this. I think this is just ridiculous. It just irritates me to no end. Believe what you want to believe. Tell me what you believe. I'll tell you what and then let's continue to have our cup of coffee.
So, what I hear is selling a house is like selling a car. If I want to sell my car, I polish it up, I clean it, I take all the garbage out. It looks like it came out of the showroom.
Yes. Have the carpets cleaned. Have the floors waxed. Get the cobwebs down. Go to your basement and get the cobwebs. Nobody ever looks at the basement cobwebs.
So let's say I have a room in my house that at one time I painted lavender. Should I get a bucket of white paint?
Yes. Paint it. Make it look fresh.
So the house should be neutral, shouldn't it?
Neutral is best because people can then see themselves there. People walk in, they can daydream about where that Christmas tree is going to go, where they're going to put things. Yeah, you really have to make it more neutral. Yeah, I've got stories. If anybody ever wants to see things, go to my Snapchat because I'm always snapping things that are crazy that you see. Yeah, clean it up. Make it worthy of sale. Make it, yeah, just what you said. You just, oh, God, look at I'm hitting microphones and stuff.
And what about inspections?
Inspections, I would not buy a house without an inspector. Now, I walk through, and I've seen a lot of houses. I've been in a lot of inspections. I can tell if this horizontal or this crack is probably going to be, but every day I go, uh-oh, we need to have an inspector look at this, or I'm going to bring in even an expert like city sewer or a furnace person or something. You have those 10 days to inspect. Use them. Get in that house, make sure, because an inspector is going to climb in the crawl space. They're going to make sure that the soffits aren't filled with blown-in insulation. Oh, I thought it was a good idea to blow it. No, it isn't. You've just made there's so much. Have an inspection. It is the cheapest thing you're going to pay for in the whole real estate, and it's the most important.
Take a break. We're talking to Linda Shepard from Pinnacle Realty. If you have any questions about buying or selling property, now's the time. Give us a call, 989-752-6111.
It's that time again.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW, talking real estate with Linda Shepard from Pinnacle Realty, and Al is on the phone. Al, you are on with Linda.
Hi, Linda. My question is, you appraise houses, right?
No, I am not an appraiser. I will give you a broker price opinion, but I am not an appraiser.
But, usually, don't you look at the neighborhood before, go around and check out the other houses in the neighborhood before you would give me an accurate appraisal of my house?
Oh, definitely. We do a study of all the comparables in the area. We do a lot of what an appraiser does, but we can't legally do appraisals, but we can do our broker price. And every agent, this is what we teach over and over, is how to take in the comparables, solds, what's active, yes, and give you the price.
But if I go to the bank for my mortgage, they're not going to accept your broker price. They're going to get an appraisal, aren't
That's exactly. You are going to pay for an appraisal.
Yeah.
Yep. Because the bank has...
I guess that was my question, Linda, and keep up the good work.
Oh, yeah, and if you call me, I will definitely give you a broker and my opinion of what it's going to be. And
because that's how you set the price, right?
I'm knocking wood. We're generally right there.
Yeah. All right, Al, thanks for calling.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. So that's an interesting question, though, because, an appraisal is a guess based on knowledge.
Exactly.
So if I come to you and say, okay, Linda, I want to sell my home, I, as the seller, think it's worth $250,000.
Did Zillow tell you that?
Who?
Zillow?
I have no idea. But let's say I think it's worth $250,000, and you come along and you say, well, it's probably worth $230,000.
Yep.
And that's your estimate. The appraisal could come along and who knows? But it's going to be closer to you than me, probably.
Yes. If you ask Zillow, what is my house
What is Zillow? Tell everybody what
Zillow is a national clearinghouse. I don't even know what you would consider it. It's a advertisement space that pulls information from the MLS and puts it out there. So it just is an easier search engine to look at homes. Even though the Saginaw Board of Realtors has a lovely search engine, and I'd rather you use ours because it's the most updated, or use my website, which pulls data too. It's just a data share thing. But Zillow literally takes your SEV, doubles it, maybe adds a little, and they say so. Every day somebody calls me, well, Zillow said, well, Zillow's not right. I am on the ground. I know exactly what the 4 houses down here sold for, what this is active, and that's why you hire a real estate agent. This is what we do 24 hours. I'm telling you, I roll over 6 o'clock in the morning. First thing I'm doing is looking at the hot sheets. What's listed? Where are we at? Every flipping morning. That is exactly what we do.
And really, I would have to guess most buyers have an inflated idea of what their home's worth.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. And and it's not that we're going in there to burst your bubble, but if you list your house $20,000 more than we know that appraisal is going to come back with, it's on the market for 30 days. It's market warned. Everybody around here thinks something's wrong with it. Must be the foundation, something, because houses just aren't lasting. When I got into the business 14, 15 years ago, the market had just crashed. So days of market were 60 to 90 days sometimes. Yeah. It was ridiculous. Now, if it's on the market for 2 weeks without an offer, something's wrong. What's going on? So you've got to market it right. Listen to your agents. And I'm telling you, I love my agency. We're going to be 10 years old next year. I'm super excited. I'm coming out with a whole new program for agents next year. I'm very agent focused right now on how to help my agents brand themselves, do business better. Agents are fantastic. Just like doctors, lawyers, dentists, everyone. You're going to have 1 or 2 that are out there, but for the most part, agents are fantastic. And I could name them off right now, the best agents. Yeah. We got a great group of agents in this area. Bay City and Midland. I tell you, I love them all.
All right, we take a break, and we will be back. We're talking to Linda Shepard from Pinnacle Realty.
Steve, did you take my...
All right, we're back with you, talking to Linda Shepard, who is the owner of Pinnacle Realty. We talk about the seller and what the seller has to do to sell their home. What does a buyer have to do to buy a home?
Get pre-approved. I cannot say that
there.
enough. So... they're tired of paying rent. They're ready to buy their first house or their second house or a third. It doesn't matter. You have got to go to your financial institution, whatever it is, your bank, your credit union. If you don't know who to go, call me. We have a list of who our preferred lenders are that I know do an excellent job. But you have to get pre-approved. Understand what your finances are going to be and what you want to pay. Just because you can afford a $250,000 house, but now you're cash poor. You can't go to Disney. You can't do stuff with your family. You don't want to buy $250,000. You want to buy that $200,000 house.
If you can find one.
Yeah. They're coming now. Sellers are going to start selling.
Oh, my goodness. Well, the question I have about pre-approval, though, because if I'm going to a bank, I'm going to a financial institution for a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't they going to want to know the value of the property so they can determine what the max is that they'll loan aside from my finances? I mean,
yeah, but that's down the road. That's how the appraisal comes out. So when they
pre-approve me, what do they say?
They say you're paying this much for your car. They're taking in all your finances, how much you make, how long you've been on the job. Just like if you're getting credit card or anything else, they're going to see where you're at and what you can afford to buy.
So they'll give me a quote line of credit, so to speak.
Totally.
I mean, we will offer him or her a mortgage up to X dollars.
X amount. This is what your monthly payment's going to be. They're going to give you a good faith estimate of this is what your payment's going to be. This is what we want you to stay under.
And the old standard was 20% down. Is that still the standard?
No. You see more FHA, VA RDs, more FHA. And you also see conventional loans that are only making you put 5% down. The conventional mortgagers had to really step up their business to compete with the FHA loans. So with the federally backed loans. So yeah, you'll see a lot of banks and credit unions that will do 95%.
So what's the difference between my financial institution loan and an FHA loan?
One is backed by the federal government. The other one is backed by that bank.
Why wouldn't I want the federal government? Or does it make a difference? Or are there conditions?
Conditions are different. You shop around. You are in control. They're wanting to loan you money. So shop around, find out. And generally, if you go to your credit, they're going to sit down and say, okay, you can do this, this, and this. You can do a conventional, you can do FHA. They're going to tell you what you can do and what you can't. And if you go lower than that 20%, you have to pay PMI insurance. So that adds to your loan. So that's why most people try to put 20% down so then they don't have to pay the PMI insurance.
PMI is?
Private mortgage insurance. Yep.
All right. So the seller should be, the buyer should be pre-approved. So
get pre-approved. Know what you want your payments to be. You know, if you go in and you listen to the car loan people and they say you can get this car for $250. When you walk in there and you see all the bottom, it's more like $600. You want to have that in your arsenal to say I can afford this $172,000 house.
Total, all included.
All included, all in with insurance and taxes.
Okay, so I get pre-approved. I come to you as my buyer's agent and I say, Linda, show me a $250,000 home because that's what I can afford. I can afford this payment on that home. And I get to that $250,000 home, and yep, it's exactly what I want. The payment would be exactly what I want, except somebody is bidding $10,000 over the $250,000. So now I got to give $15,000 over the $250,000. Who pays that?
Well, they're probably not paying it because you're paying it out of pocket or you're not going to get that house.
Because that's not going to be financed.
It's not going to be financed. Nope. If you're pre-approved up to this.
And that's been going on, hasn't it?
It has been going on terrible, and it's been horrible. I've had clients put in 6 different offers on 6 different, and they get beat out by cash or they get beat by conventional. Yeah, it's a dog-eat-dog world. It's been like this for about 3 years now.
And so is that going to change, you think?
I think so. I think you're going to see more sellers selling because now they can get the interest rate they want to get off of their house and upgrade or, downgrade. They want a smaller house. Their kids are gone. So I think you're going to start seeing people moving. I think the listings are coming.
So do I understand from that you think we're going to move from a seller's market to a buyer's market?
I'm hoping just to see a balanced market. Give us a year of balance. Oh my gosh, please, just a year of nice bunch of listings to choose from. Buyers feel more comfortable putting in offers at asking price. We just need to get a little bit of a balance.
Well, as always, it's fun chatting with you.
Oh, you too, Art.
And if you have a chance, stop into the Pinnacle Realty building, which is the Point at M46 and M47, and visit her at Miles Market and Sips 476 and all those wonderful things you have in there.
We are the only real estate firm that you can get a coffee at Sips, grab a donut at Miles Market, and come sit in our office and eat them and chat real estate all day. I mean, and if you want me to, I'll come out, buy you a donut, and we'll sit and talk real estate.
Oh, all right. Have yourself a great time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Linda Shepard from Pinnacle Realty, we thank her for joining us. Take a break and tell you what's ahead.
Weekdays at 3 on 100.5 and 790 News Radio WSGW.
All right, that'll do it. We thank Linda Shepard from Pinnacle Realty for joining us today. We thank, of course, Westside Decorating Center for sponsoring our program. Coming up on Focus, we're going to learn about Whitetail Properties, who they are and what they do, from Michael Turnip. But we'll have the news first from CBS, and then the local report with Michael Perchip. And then we will be back with you. The Art Lewis Show, though, by the way, won't have Art Lewis on it because I'm going to be on vacation next week. We'll be back right after Labor Day.
Broadcasting from the